Right now, at this exact moment, someone is taking money from you. Not a thief, not a scammer, something far more sophisticated. Every time you fill your tank, money extracted. Every time you swipe your card, money extracted. Every time you take a pill, search the internet, scroll your feed, money extracted. And every single dollar flows upward through a system designed 150 years ago by a man most people think is dead and gone. But here's the thing about John D. Rockefeller. He didn't just build a company. He built a machine so perfectly engineered that it outlived him by nearly a century. A machine that evolved, adapted, and embedded itself so deeply into the fabric of modern life that you cannot see it anymore. You just live inside it. Today I'm going to show you exactly how this machine works. Not theory, not conspiracy. Documented, verifiable, hiding in plain sight mechanics of wealth extraction that have operated continuously since 1870. And here's why you need to watch until the end. Because there's something about the 1911 Standard Oil breakup, the moment the government supposedly won, supposedly freed the market, that will fundamentally change how you see every corporation, every antitrust lawsuit, every so-called victory against big business. What happened after that breakup is the key to understanding why you cannot escape. Let me show you Richford, New York, 1839. A boy is born to two people who could not be more different. His father, William Rockefeller, is a con man, a traveling salesman who sells fake cancer cures to desperate families. He disappears for months at a time, living a secret double life with another family. He once boasted that he cheated his own children whenever possible because, his words, "I want to make them sharp." His mother, Eliza, is the opposite, a devout Baptist, strict, obsessed with order, discipline, and the absolute certainty that God rewards those who work hard and punishes those who don't. This boy, John Davidson Rockefeller, will absorb both of them completely. The conman's ruthlessness, the Baptist's moral certainty, and he will build an empire on the unshakable conviction that his monopoly is not theft. It is God's work, because in his mind, eliminating competition isn't greed. It's righteousness. Chaos is wasteful, disorder is sinful, and consolidation, absolute total control, is the natural order of things. Remember this, because everything that follows only makes sense when you understand. Rockefeller never believed he was the villain. He believed he was the savior. August 27, 1859. A man named Edwin Drake strikes oil in Titusville, Pennsylvania, the first commercial oil well in America. Within weeks, the news spreads. Within months, thousands of prospectors flood into western Pennsylvania. The oil rush begins. Fortunes are made overnight. Men pull crude oil from the ground and become millionaires. Others drill for months, find nothing, and die broke. It's chaos. Beautiful, violent, American chaos. John Rockefeller is 20 years old. He's working as a bookkeeper in Cleveland. He watches the oil rush from a distance. He watches men scramble to drill holes in the ground, gambling everything on luck. And he sees something nobody else sees. The drillers are fools. Here's why. Oil straight from the ground is worthless. You can't burn it in lamps. You can't sell it to consumers. It's just black sludge. The real business isn't in the ground. The real business is in the refinery. Refineries take worthless crude and transform it into kerosene, the fuel that lights American homes. Every barrel of oil, no matter who drills it, must pass through a refinery. Control the refineries, and you control the oil industry. In 1863, at age 24, Rockefeller invests $4,000 in his first refinery. The machine has been switched on. Cleveland, 1865. Rockefeller's refinery is growing, but so are his competitors. 30 refineries operate in Cleveland alone. Competition is brutal. Margins are thin. Most refineries scrape by, barely profitable, always one bad month away from bankruptcy. Rockefeller watches them struggle. And he asks a question nobody else is asking. Why are we paying other people? Think about what a normal refinery does. It buys crude oil from drillers. It buys barrels to store the kerosene. It pays railroads to ship the product. It sells to distributors who sell to consumers. Each step, a different business taking a cut. Each step, profit leaking away. Rockefeller's insight is elegant in its brutality. Why not control every step? He starts buying barrel factories. Now he doesn't pay 25 cents per barrel. He makes them for 15 cents. He buys his own warehouses. No storage fees. He buys tank cars, then entire railroads. Now he ships his own oil. And here's where it gets vicious. He doesn't just negotiate lower shipping rates for himself, he negotiates rebates. Secret agreements where railroads actually pay him money for every barrel shipped, his and his competitors. Read that again. Every time a competing refinery ships oil, Rockefeller gets a cut. The railroads are paying Rockefeller to put his competitors out of business. This is vertical integration, not just efficiency. Weaponized control of every link in the chain. His costs drop below what any competitor can match. And now Rockefeller is ready to make his move. February 1872, Rockefeller calls a meeting. 26 refinery owners in Cleveland receive the same invitation. They gather, confused, slightly nervous. Rockefeller sits at the head of the table. He is 32 years old, calm, patient, almost gentle. He makes them an offer. Sell your refinery to Standard Oil. He will pay fair market value. He will hire many of them as managers. They will become part of something larger, something efficient, something that will dominate the industry. He presents the choice clearly. You can sell and prosper with us, or you can refuse. He pauses. But if you refuse, I will compete with you. And I will win. Some take the offer immediately. They've seen Rockefeller's methods. They know what's coming. Others refuse. They believe in competition, in the American way. Those men are about to learn what competition looks like when you're fighting a machine. Within days, Rockefeller drops his kerosene prices below cost. He can afford the loss. His vertical integration means he's still breaking, even while his competitors bleed money on every sale. Weeks pass. The holdouts watch their savings evaporate. They take out loans. They beg banks for credit. The banks, many of whom are already aligned with Rockefeller, decline. One by one, they return to the table. 3 months. That's all it takes. 26 refineries become one. This is the Cleveland Massacre. Rockefeller enters 1872, controlling 4% of American refining. He exits controlling 25%, and he's just getting started. The next 7 years are a systematic conquest. City by city, refinery by refinery. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore. The method never changes. Approach, offer, and if they refuse, destroy. Rockefeller isn't emotional about this. He doesn't gloat, he doesn't threaten. He simply explains the mathematics. We will sell below cost until you can't make payroll. Your employees will leave. Your creditors will call their loans. And in 6 months, you will sell me your refinery for 10 cents on the dollar. Or you can sell now at full value and walk away wealthy. Most sell. The ones who fight become cautionary tales. Their refineries close. Their families face ruin. And Rockefeller buys the remains. By 1879, Standard Oil controls 90% of American refining. 90%, not a market share, a stranglehold. Every barrel of oil in America, drilled by thousands of independent prospectors, must flow through Rockefeller's refineries. He has achieved something unprecedented, total absolute control of an essential commodity. But Rockefeller sees a problem on the horizon, a big one. Here's Rockefeller's dilemma in 1879. His monopoly is illegal, not in the sense that anyone is prosecuting him, not yet, but the structure itself is unsustainable. Standard Oil of Ohio cannot legally own companies in other states. That's how corporate law works in the 1870s. A company chartered in Ohio is an Ohio company. It can operate elsewhere, but it cannot own New York or Pennsylvania corporations. Rockefeller controls 90% of refining, but technically that control is held together by handshake agreements and personal loyalty. One lawsuit, one angry partner, and the whole structure could unravel. He needs a solution. In 1882, his lawyers create something that has never existed before, the Standard Oil Trust. Here's how it works. 41 shareholders, Rockefeller and his closest associates, transfer all their stock in all Standard Oil companies into a single trust. In return, they receive trust certificates. The trust isn't a company. It doesn't produce anything. It doesn't sell anything. It just holds other companies. And because it's not a company, the laws about what companies can own don't apply. The trust controls Standard Oil of Ohio, Standard Oil of New York, Standard Oil of New Jersey, every piece of the empire, as a single coordinated entity. This is the first major corporate trust in American history, and it changes everything, because suddenly there's a template, a legal structure that allows one group to control countless companies across countless industries without technically violating the law. Within a decade, Every major industry has its own trust. The sugar trust, the tobacco trust, the steel trust, the whiskey trust, all copying Rockefeller's lawyers, all using the architecture he built. By 1904, Standard Oil has achieved something almost incomprehensible. 91% of oil refining in America, 85% of final sales. Rockefeller's personal net worth is $900 million. In today's dollars, adjusting for economic impact, that's over $400 billion. More than Bezos, more than Musk, more than Gates combined. The richest individual in the modern history of the world. And the system he built, vertical integration, horizontal consolidation, the trust structure, is now the default architecture of American capitalism. But something is shifting in the culture. The public is starting to see the machine, and they're furious. 1890. Congress passes the Sherman Antitrust Act. Monopolies are now officially illegal. Ida Tarbell is 36 years old. She's a journalist. She's also the daughter of an independent oil producer who was ruined by Standard Oil's predatory tactics. She begins investigating. For the next 8 years, Tarbell digs. She interviews former employees. She obtains internal documents. She maps the railroad rebates, the secret agreements, the systematic destruction of competitors. In 1902, she publishes The History of the Standard Oil Company in McClure's magazine. It runs for 2 years, 19 installments, and it ignites an inferno. The public reads about competitors destroyed by price wars. They read about secret railroad deals. They read about how Rockefeller became the richest man in history by crushing anyone who stood in his way. The most hated man in America, the newspapers call him. The government moves, Mine 6. The Justice Department files suit against Standard Oil. The case works its way through the courts, and on May 15, 1911, the Supreme Court rules, Standard Oil is an illegal monopoly. It must be dissolved, broken into 34 separate competing companies. The machine has been stopped, right? Here's what they don't teach you in school. Here's the part that changes everything. When Standard Oil was broken up, Rockefeller still owned shares in all 34 companies. He didn't lose his stock. He just had it in 34 pieces instead of one. Standard Oil of New Jersey, Exxon. Standard Oil of New York, Mobil. Standard Oil of California, Chevron. Standard Oil of Indiana, Amoco. Standard Oil of Ohio, Sohio, later BP. Before the breakup, Standard Oil stock traded at around $600 per share. After the breakup, the combined value of all 34 companies, over $2,000 per share. Rockefeller didn't lose wealth. His wealth tripled. How is that possible? Because breaking one monopoly into 34 regional monopolies isn't really breaking anything. Each company still dominated its region. Each company still used Rockefeller's methods, and each company, now forced to innovate independently, actually became more valuable. The government thought they'd destroyed the machine. They'd given it 34 heads. And here's the final twist. Over the next century, those 34 companies would begin merging, consolidating, becoming slowly but surely one organism again. 1999 Exxon and Mobil merge. 2001 Chevron acquires Texaco. BP acquires Amoco and Sohio. Today, most of Standard Oil's descendants have reconsolidated into 4 megacorporations. ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, shared the same market share, the same control, just with different names. The monopoly broke up in 1911. The monopoly reconstituted itself by 2000. The system wasn't destroyed, it learned how to survive. But here's what matters even more than the oil companies. Rockefeller didn't just build Standard Oil. He built a playbook, a set of methods that work in any industry, any era, any market. And every dominant corporation in the century since has used that playbook. Vertical integration. Amazon started as an online bookstore. Now Amazon owns the warehouses, the delivery trucks, the shipping logistics, the payment processing, the cloud servers that host its competitors' websites. Rockefeller controlled oil from wellhead to consumer lamp. Amazon controls retail from manufacturer to your doorstep. Same method, different century. Horizontal consolidation. Facebook buys Instagram, its biggest competitor in photo sharing. Facebook buys WhatsApp, its biggest competitor in messaging. Facebook buys Oculus, its entry into virtual reality. When you can't beat them, buy them. When they won't sell, copy them and undercut them. Amazon does this with Amazon Basics, using seller data to identify successful products. then creating cheaper versions. Rockefeller did the exact same thing with kerosene brands. The trust structure. Alphabet isn't a company, it's a holding company. It owns Google, YouTube, Waymo. DeepMind, Verily, Nest, Fitbit. Each subsidiary is technically separate. This makes antitrust action complex. Which piece do you break off? This is the Standard Oil Trust with different paperwork. Regulatory capture. This is Rockefeller's subtlest weapon. He didn't just compete in markets. He shaped the rules of those markets. He lobbied for railroad regulations that disadvantaged his competitors. He pushed for kerosene quality standards his refineries could meet, but smaller refineries couldn't. He put allies in government positions. Today, pharmaceutical companies fund the FDA through user fees. Banks write financial regulations through lobbying. Tech companies staff the agencies that regulate them with former employees. The regulators don't fight the machine. The regulators are part of the machine. In 1913, Rockefeller created the Rockefeller Foundation. Initial gift, $250 million. That's over $7 billion in today's dollars. On the surface, this looks like charity. The aging robber baron giving back. Redemption through generosity. Look deeper. The foundation allowed Rockefeller to avoid estate taxes. Wealth that would have gone to the government instead flowed to an institution his family controlled in perpetuity. The foundation funded medical schools, Johns Hopkins, University of Chicago, Rockefeller University, shaping the curriculum, the research priorities, the very structure of American medicine. The foundation funded public health campaigns, influencing government policy through charitable research that happened to align with pharmaceutical industry interests. This isn't speculation. This is documented history. The Rockefeller Foundation created modern American medical education. It emphasized pharmaceutical intervention over holistic care, a model that generated enormous profits for pharmaceutical companies. The most hated man in America became a beloved philanthropist. His family's influence extended into the next century, untouchable, and every modern billionaire has copied the model. The Gates Foundation, $75 billion in assets, shapes global health policy, influences WHO, impacts national governments. The Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, $10 billion committed, influences education policy, operates in the gray zone between charity and advocacy. The Bezos Earth Fund, the Bloomberg Foundation, the Koch network, all built on Rockefeller's template. Tax-advantaged wealth policy influence. Legitimacy laundering. The machine doesn't just extract. The machine redeems. So here's where we are. Every time you fill your gas tank, you're paying ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, or Shell. Companies descended directly from Standard Oil, using methods Rockefeller perfected. Every time you buy on Amazon, you're transacting through vertical integration and horizontal consolidation that Rockefeller invented. Every time you Google something, you're using a service with 92% market share, higher than Standard Oil at its peak, operated by a holding company structured like the Standard Oil Trust. Every time you take medication, you're consuming products from an industry shaped by Rockefeller Foundation grants, regulated by agencies captured by pharmaceutical companies, priced through monopolistic tactics. Every time you use banking services, you're moving money through holding company structures that Rockefeller's lawyers pioneered. You didn't choose this system. You were born inside it. The average American household transfers approximately $660,000 over their lifetime to companies using the Rockefeller playbook. Not to innovators, not to small businesses, not to local economies, to consolidated corporate structures designed to eliminate competition and extract maximum value. And here's the part that should chill you. You cannot opt out. You need transportation. Gasoline is controlled by the Standard Oil descendants. You need goods. Logistics are controlled by Amazon or its imitators. You need information. Search is controlled by Google. You need social connection. Platforms are controlled by Meta. You need healthcare. The system is shaped by Rockefeller-funded medical education. Every exit leads back to the machine. Every choice is between branches of the same tree. The system isn't something that was built. The system is the architecture of modern life. And here's what makes this complicated. What Rockefeller understood that his critics didn't. The machine isn't evil. It's efficient. Before Standard Oil, kerosene cost 58 cents a gallon. After Standard Oil's optimizations, 8 cents a gallon, an 86% price reduction. The monopoly delivered affordable light to millions of American homes. Amazon delivers products in 2 days that would have taken 2 weeks a generation ago. Google answers questions in milliseconds that would have required library research. Modern medicine, shaped by Rockefeller's foundations, has doubled human life expectancy. The machine extracts, but it also delivers. This is the devil's bargain of the Rockefeller system. You get cheap goods, fast service, and effective medicine. The machine gets your wealth, slowly, continuously, compounding at the top. Both things are true, and that's why the machine can't be easily destroyed. Because people don't want to give up 2-day shipping to break up Amazon. They don't want to use inferior search engines to break up Google. They don't want to pay more for less efficient alternatives. The machine provides value. It just provides more value to itself than to you. So what do? You've seen the machine. You understand how it works. What are your options? Option 1, accept it. Acknowledge that consolidation is the endpoint of capitalism. Efficiency wins. Monopolies are the natural state of mature markets. Use the efficiencies they provide. Don't waste energy fighting the inevitable. Option 2, resist it. Support antitrust enforcement. Buy from small businesses even when it costs more. Use alternatives even when they're worse. Vote for politicians who promise structural reform. Accept that your life will be less convenient. Option 3, position within it. If the machine extracts from consumers and concentrates in corporations, own the corporations. ExxonMobil, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, Pfizer, JP Morgan. If the system has extracted wealth for 150 years and will continue extracting for the next 150, own the extractors. This is what Rockefeller did. He didn't just sell oil, he owned Standard Oil. The wealth that flowed through the machine flowed to him. You can do the same. Not at his scale, nobody will ever match that scale again. But proportionally, stop being purely a consumer. Become an owner. John D. Rockefeller died on May 23, 1937. He was 97 years old. He lived long enough to see Standard Oil broken up. He lived long enough to see the pieces become more valuable than the whole. He lived long enough to see his methods spread to every industry in the country. He lived long enough to see his foundation reshape American medicine, education, and public policy. He lived long enough to watch his grandchildren take positions at the top of American finance, philanthropy, and politics. David Rockefeller, John D.'s grandson, became chairman of Chase Manhattan Bank, founder of the Trilateral Commission, one of the most powerful men in global finance for 50 years. He died in 2017 at age 101. The family wealth is estimated at $11 billion. The family influence is incalculable. 5 generations, 50 years. The machine keeps running. Rockefeller once said, "Competition is a sin." Most people hear that as greed, arrogance, villainy. But Rockefeller meant it theologically. Competition is wasteful. It duplicates effort. It destroys capital. It breeds chaos. Consolidation is righteous. It creates order. It serves consumers. It brings efficiency to a chaotic world. Monopoly isn't theft, it's salvation. This was his genuine belief, his religious conviction. The Baptist certainty that he was doing God's work by organizing American industry under one efficient hand. And the system he built, vertical integration, horizontal consolidation, trust structures, regulatory capture, philanthropic legitimacy, it has organized American industry for 150 years. Every major corporation uses his methods. Every holding company uses his legal structures. Every billionaire uses his philanthropic playbook. The man died in 1937. The machine has never been more powerful. It's in the gasoline you burn, the packages you receive, the searches you type, the pills you swallow, the money you deposit. You cannot see it because you are inside it. You cannot escape it because there is no outside. You can only understand it. And understanding changes everything. John D. Rockefeller created a system. You live in that system. Welcome to his world.